Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Sphere, and I'm really excited because today we are talking about 5 of the things you need to think about before planning your trip to South Korea. I am planning my second trip to South Korea for later this year, and I'm so excited because out of all the places that I have been, that I have lived, that I have traveled to, South Korea is my favorite place, so I cannot wait to go back. If you're planning your trip yourself, like you're not going through an agency or planning a trip with a group, that you need to start planning at least 6 months ahead of time. Now, I am going to be there from September to November, so I'm a little bit further out than 6 months, but I'm also going to be getting some dental procedures there. So even if you're not going to have any appointments while you're there, you really need to think about what you're going to do, where you're going to stay, how long you're going to stay there. Are you going to stay in several different hotels, several different Airbnbs? You need to do your research if you're going to be staying in an Airbnb and make sure it's not a scam. And this can take a while. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. So if you start planning at least 6 months in advance, then you can take it step by step and not overwhelm yourself. So the second thing, which probably should be the first thing, is if you don't already have your passport, you need to get on it now. This does not matter if you're trying to go at the end of the year or if you're trying to go next year. If you do not have your passport, you need to get on that now. With everything that's going on in America, the trade wars, all that stuff, the tariffs, and things that are also going on in South Korea, you need to make sure that you can actually go. And your passport is going to be your way to get there. So if you don't have it, go ahead and apply for it. You might want to pause this video, save it, come back to it, go ahead and apply for it. I'll put a link down in the comments so you can just click on it and go apply. Make sure all of your paperwork is in order. You're going to need your birth certificate and some other documents, but when you go on to apply, it will give you a list of everything that you need and what you need to submit with your application. You want to think about what kind of experience you want to have when you travel. If you want to have a K-drama, K-pop experience, you need to know that ahead of time because there are certain things that you can plan. So if you want to have a K-pop experience, there is a company that will teach you K-pop choreography. There is a guided tour of K-drama locations, and on and on and on. But you need to start searching for these ahead of time because these stay filled up and they're booked well in advance, months out. So you need to know what type of experience and some of the things that you want to do while you're there. And I'll also link in the comments some places that you can follow that give you lots of different ideas about cafes. Tracy is a really great website to go to that lists a lot of these different experiences that you can have all in one place, and it makes it super easy for people who are foreigners to book things in South Korea. So once you figure out what type of experience you want to have, you can really start to budget how much all these things are going to cost. Now, Tracy, the experiences and the different things on there, they're not super expensive, but if you are going to be there for like 2 weeks and you want to go on an experience every day, that is going to add up. If you want to have a luxurious spa experience and go to all these different places and get procedures and things like that done, which are really cheap in South Korea, you need to budget for that accordingly and also really check into these places. South Korea has this really great website that lists um, doctors and clinics that have been vetted by the government to make sure that you're not going to get scammed and things like that. So that's a good resource to go to. And if there's a particular YouTuber who lives in South Korea that you really like, you can, if they're not making content about different places in South Korea, you can just go in their comments and ask them, get some advice about some places to go that within your budget range. So this is another reason why you need to start planning 6 months in advance, because South Korea is a place where literally you can have any type of experience that you want, but you want to make sure that you're not going to be scammed, and that you can do all the things you want to do and it fits within your budget. You want to really start thinking about where you're going to stay. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, some of the Airbnbs and also some of the hotels, but they're on the lower price range, are complete scams. So if you are going on Airbnb, I love the Airbnb that I stayed in, but I definitely want to stay in a hotel next time. And I'll tell you more about that in a different video. But there are Airbnbs listed that just went up, or have no reviews, and things like that you need to be a little bit wary of, because people will post stuff on Airbnb, they'll get bad reviews, they'll get dropped, and then they'll put that place up on Airbnb again under a different account. So you just want to make sure you have enough time to like really look at the pictures and make sure things make sense. If you've watched a K-drama, you can kind of understand what a Korean apartment should look like. And so if things look any different than that, or if the descriptions just aren't making sense, then you probably need to pass it. I personally would not stay in an Airbnb that did not have at least 20 reviews, and that had not been on there for quite a while. And that's not to say that, you know, somebody couldn't buy a property and put it on Airbnb, but I'm not going to be the first person to stay there, because it is very easy to get scammed in a foreign country, and you just don't want to worry about that. You want to go to South Korea and have the time of your life. So another thing that you want to think about when you are trying to figure out where you want to stay, based off of what you want to do. So the last time we went, my cousin had a dental procedure done. So we wanted to be close to where that clinic was. But we also wanted to be close to a lot of things that we wanted to do. Now, I would say transportation in South Korea is top notch. The buses, the trains, the taxis, all very easy to use and all fairly cheap. So no matter where you stay, you're going to be able to get anywhere you want to get very easily. But I personally, if I wanted to visit Hongdae, I would not stay 2 hours away. I wouldn't stay in Busan, for example. So just think about those things. When we settled on a place, we kind of picked a place that was in the middle. So it was like 20 minutes from the clinic, and it was like 20-30 minutes from a lot of the places that we wanted to go, a lot of the palaces, a lot of the cafes and things like that. So we were kind of in the middle, and because the taxis were so cheap, we took a taxi almost everywhere. We rode the subway a couple of times, but subways can be really packed. And so if you have anxiety, or like just being packed does not fit the type of experience you want to have, maybe the taxi is not for you. So just keep those things in mind when picking a place to stay. One of the most important things, number 5, that people do not think about when planning their trip to South Korea or any country like South Korea is what restrictions you personally have. And by restrictions, I mean, what can you not do? For instance, my right foot, I have plantar fasciitis. And so typically on a normal day, my foot is fine. But if I do a lot of walking, my foot will be in excruciating pain. I'll have to rest sometimes for a couple of days. And South Korea is a place where you are going to walk a lot. Even if you take a taxi everywhere, just going from cafe to cafe, you're going to do a lot of walking. You may have to do a lot of walking from where a taxi picks you up to your Airbnb. But you want to really think about any restrictions you have. Another restriction that a lot of people have, are you vegan? Are you vegetarian? Are you allergic to shellfish? If you're allergic to shellfish, you want to make sure you have your EpiPen on you. There are a lot of dishes in South Korea that have shrimp in them, or just shellfish in general. So you want to think about all these things when you are planning your trip. You want to find places that you can eat around where you're going to stay. And this is really important. This is one of the things that I didn't think about at all in terms of food, because I had heard from a lot of people who were pescatarian and vegetarian. They had spent a lot of time in South Korea. They had no problems finding food. Now, where we stayed, it was a little bit harder for me to find food. So you want to think about all of these things before you go, so you can plan accordingly. So I hope this video helped. I'm really excited to get deep into planning. So far, I have made my wonderful list. I am going to put this in the comments. It is a budget tracker, a packing list, all of those things in one, to help you guys plan your trip to South Korea. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I would love to help you plan your trip, and maybe we'll be there at the same time and we can meet up.